Angie Dickinson, born Angeline Brown on September 30, 1931, in Culm, North Dakota, was raised in a German-American household that valued education, discipline, and hard work. As the second of 4 daughters, Angie's childhood was grounded in small-town values, but her life took a pivotal turn when her family moved to Burbank, California at the age of 10. This relocation brought her closer to the entertainment world, though she didn't initially pursue acting. Instead, Angie focused on her education, attending Glendale College and later Immaculate Heart College, where she earned a degree in business. Despite her intentions to pursue a career in writing or administration, her beauty and natural presence led her to compete in beauty pageants, including a second-place finish in the 1953 Miss America preliminary. This victory opened doors to modeling and acting, and soon she was auditioning for roles in Hollywood. The rise to stardom. Breakthrough in Rio Bravo. Angie Dickinson's big break came in 1959 when she was cast in the iconic Western Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks. Starring alongside John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson, Angie played Feathers, a strong-willed and sultry character that showcased her versatility as an actress. Despite the powerhouse cast, Angie stood her ground, holding her own in a male-dominated genre. Her performance, which combined elegance, sensuality, and wit, captured the attention of both audiences and critics. The success of Rio Bravo catapulted her into the limelight and solidified her as a leading lady in Hollywood. The role not only marked a turning point in her career, but also helped her forge an image as an actress who could bring both glamour and grit to her characters. Versatility and pushing boundaries in Hollywood. Throughout the 1960s, Angie Dickinson continued to diversify her filmography, taking on roles in thrillers, crime dramas, and romantic comedies. She starred in films like Ocean's 11, 1960, alongside The Rat Pack and The Killers, 1964, with Lee Marvin. Angie's ability to portray complex, morally ambiguous women earned her a reputation for playing roles that were multidimensional and far from stereotypical. Her selection of roles in films such as Point Blank, 1967, and Big Bad Mama, 1974, showcased her willingness to defy typecasting and push the boundaries of what was expected of her. Angie was not content to be seen only for her beauty. She sought characters that were strong, intelligent, and multifaceted, a reflection of her own growing independence as a woman in Hollywood. Breaking barriers with Policewoman. In 1974, Angie Dickinson took on the role of Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson in the groundbreaking TV series Policewoman. As one of the first female leads in a police drama, Angie broke new ground for women in television. Her portrayal of a competent, fearless undercover cop resonated with audiences, particularly in an era when strong female protagonists were rare on the small screen. Policewoman became a cultural milestone, paving the way for future shows with strong, independent women in leading roles. Angie's performance earned her a Golden Globe Award and multiple Emmy nominations, cementing her status as a trailblazer for women in television. The show ran from 1974 to 1978, and its success solidified Angie Dickinson as a household name, ensuring her place in television history. Angie Dickinson's iconic personalities, 5 men she found. Rude throughout her career, Angie Dickinson had the opportunity to work with some of Hollywood's biggest stars. While she often maintained a professional demeanor, she didn't hesitate to speak candidly about her experiences with some of the industry's most famous and, at times, difficult men. In interviews, Dickinson shared her frustrations with 5 men in particular who, according to her, left lasting impressions for their rudeness and poor treatment of others. First on the list was Frank Sinatra, with whom she had a complicated friendship. While she admired his talent, she found him to be moody and cruel behind closed doors. Sinatra's temper, she recalled, could flare up without warning, and his verbal lashings left a lasting negative impression. John Wayne, the icon, who was dismissive. Next on Angie's list was the legendary John Wayne. Although they shared the screen in Rio Bravo, Dickinson found Wayne to be patronizing and dismissive. Despite his towering status in Hollywood, Wayne treated her with condescension and didn't seem to recognize her as an equal. She once recalled that Wayne spoke to her as if she were a schoolgirl, not a fellow actress. The gap between his old-fashioned views on women and Dickinson's growing independence made working with him a challenge. Though she appreciated the role that Rio Bravo played in her career, she left the film with a sense of disappointment in Wayne's behavior, ranking him among the rudest co-stars she had ever worked with. Jack Webb, cold and controlling. Angie's experience working with Jack Webb, creator of Dragnet and Policewoman, was another difficult chapter in her career. While Policewoman gave her one of the most iconic roles of her career, working with Webb proved to be a strained experience. She described Webb as rigid, controlling, and emotionally distant, and their brief romantic relationship did little to soften his cold demeanor. Dickinson fought for creative input, but found Webb to be inflexible and dismissive of her ideas. She later admitted that Webb treated his actors as interchangeable parts rather than artists, which made working with him challenging. His refusal to acknowledge her individuality left a lasting impression, and she remained critical of his behavior long after their professional collaboration ended. Lee Marvin. Charisma. Masking cruelty. Angie Dickinson also had her share of unpleasant encounters with actor Lee Marvin, whose gruff persona and volatile temper made social interactions difficult. Dickinson described Marvin as someone who used sarcasm as a weapon, leaving her feeling small and humiliated in front of others. One dinner party incident where Marvin mocked her acting ability stood out in her memory. Though he later laughed off his comments as a joke, Dickinson found his behavior arrogant and mean-spirited, overshadowing his on-screen charisma. She placed Marvin firmly on her list of the rudest celebrities, reflecting her distaste for his cruel behavior off-screen. Burt Reynolds. Charm that went too far. The final name on Angie Dickinson's list was Burt Reynolds. Initially, Dickinson admired Reynolds for his charm and roguish smile, but over time she became weary of his egotistical games. She found that Reynolds used his charm as a mask for manipulative and disrespectful behavior. On set, he was often dismissive of her ideas, too focused on his own image to acknowledge the contributions of others. Dickinson also felt uncomfortable with his flirtations and eventually chose to distance herself from him. She quipped that Burt liked women who stayed in their place, but she wasn't one of them, which earned him a place on her personal blacklist. The strength of Angie Dickinson. Surviving and thriving. Despite these encounters with rude and disrespectful men, Angie Dickinson's ability to thrive in Hollywood speaks to her strength and resilience. Throughout her career, she proved that she was more than just a beautiful face. She was a talented actress who could stand her ground and demand respect. While she rarely named names publicly, those who knew her well understood that Angie had a steel spine and an unwavering determination to succeed. Her quiet revenge was her longevity and continued success in the industry, proving that she could survive and thrive in a world where many tried to diminish her. These 5 men may have left lasting impressions, but Angie Dickinson's legacy remains defined by her artistry, strength, and unshakable confidence.